Hi YouTubers, it's Evan X right now. It's going to be a video right now, so it is still Tobacco Tuesday, like the big ass cigar, so I'm talking about right now something very interesting. So I want to talk about the term smoker. I've talked about this before on my channel over the last couple of years, and basically I want to discuss this one more time. I know I'm going to repeat myself, and this is going to be kind of a repeated video, so kind of a repetitive video. I want to discuss the term quote-unquote smoker, so the term smoker, and that is referring to somebody who smokes tobacco generally, not referring to people who smoke pot, because that's typically a stoner, so I want to discuss smoker. Now, I consider myself a cigar and pipe smoker, a nice big ass cigar smoker, a big ass pipe smoker, but I want to talk about and give an example of how the term really doesn't apply to cigar and pipe smokers, it more applies to cigarette smokers. So when you hear people say smoker, that's generally referring to people who are cigarette smokers, and generally referring to people who smoke a pack a day and also inhale the smoke into their lungs. So basically, I'll give you an example of how this applies to me. Basically, I've been having some, moderate health problems over the last, year or so with my blood pressure, my cholesterol, and just nutrition in general because I am, fairly overweight. So I weigh about almost 250 or so, about 250, and I'm about 5 feet 9 inches tall, so that's considered obese. So I want to discuss how this applies to me. So back in March of this year, I met with my primary care doctor to discuss my risk of developing heart disease in the next 10 years, and she said, I'm not going to use the person's name because that's their confidentiality. Let's assume you had these blood pressure readings, cholesterol readings, and you were also smoking. You were a quote-unquote smoker. Your risk of developing heart disease would be 10.5 for somebody who's 40 or older. For somebody your age, I was 26 back then, would probably be about 7.5, which is still pretty low. So the reason I bring this up and I use that example in this scenario in this video is because this big ass video for life, like the big ass cigar, is I really think it's a lot lower than that because when they use the term, when people, you go to a website and they say, is the person or is the patient, the person in this study, a quote-unquote smoker? You're talking about somebody, if you say yes, the person is a smoker, no, the person is not a smoker, you're talking about almost in every scenario, and I've said this before on my channel, somebody who's smoking a pack a day, who's deeply dragging and inhaling, somebody who is chemically addicted, who has to smoke unless, or they will have withdrawals, and somebody who's smoking constantly throughout the day, not just one cigar a day with a glass of wine. I'm talking about somebody who is constantly, habitually, dragging on cigarettes all day long. Somebody who's essentially, I don't want to say chain smoker, but somebody who essentially is going through a pack and a half a day. That's what the doctors, the scientists are assuming on these studies, and that's why when I go through, studies online, when I try to assess my risk of, a health problem or something, I typically don't check that I have smoked at least like 100 cigarettes or I have smoked or not, because really, even though I am a daily cigar and pipe smoker, tobacco pipe and tobacco cigar smoker, really what this is, there's no in between. It's either you don't smoke or you smoke a pack and a half a day. So, and that's what the study is doing, because if you say, yes, I am a smoker, they're going to dramatically increase your chance, and that's just not fair. I mean, that's just bullshit. So, because the risk you take, the risk to your body, especially of your heart, because you're not inhaling the smoke into your body, you're not getting into your arteries as nearly as much. I'm not a doctor, obviously, so don't sue me. If you do have a heart attack, big ass cigar for life, but it's like your risk of developing heart disease, from what I've read, from smoking one cigar a day or even less, like one cigar a week, is dramatically less than somebody who's smoking and deeply dragging and inhaling that cigarette smoke into their lungs. So, because when you don't inhale, believe me, there are still health, risks involved. That's one of the reasons why I take such good care of my teeth, is because the majority of the smoke is going to my mouth, is going into my gums, my soft tissue, my palate, and my mouth. and that can lead to gum disease and potentially long-term oral cancer. So that's why I'm very meticulous. I typically rinse with mouthwash 3 to 4 times a day to get rid of all that tar in my mouth. So not the other stuff in my mouth. Big ass cigar for life. So bottom line is, the term quote unquote smoker is referring to somebody who's smoking a pack and a half a day, or at least a pack, at least 3/4 of a pack a day. So anyway, big ass cigar for life. Your thoughts. Bye.